Hey class, moving along in part one, the structure of the retail industry. Let's chat about retail growth and expansion. Centralization. The success of a company, in part, is due to its organizational strategy. This plan of action details how the company will achieve its long-term goals. There are three levels of organizational strategy: corporate, business level, and functional. Business level strategy is the breakdown of the corporate strategy into specific goals. Functional strategy is an action plan for making strategic decisions. Centralization is a corporate level strategy that involves performing functions that affect remote operations from a central location. A corporate office: buying, merchandising, store planning, accounting, and sales promotions are just some functions that are centralized. Centralization provides brand consistency by ensuring store layout, product offerings, marketing, and advertisements are unified. If you visited a few Target stores in different locations, you've probably felt as comfortable and familiar as you do at the location that you often frequent. Have you considered why that is? This is all due to Target's branding. The branding of Target stores is a centralized function where strategies such as the implementation of the racetrack layout, which is their single main aisle that circles the store, and the logical layout that groups similar departments together. So, for example, the electronics department, toys, and entertainment, as well as beauty, health, and household departments. No matter what Target location you visit, the store is laid out in such a way that your shopping trip is easy and convenient. Centralization offers many advantages that contribute to a company's growth and expansion. Companies are able to operate efficiently, brand themselves by streamlining processes, and effectively control costs by one, reducing redundancy. So they're conducting operations with less mid level management and eliminating the duplication of efforts at the store level with multiple employees completing the same function, especially those functions that are not dependent on local market trends. Two, the functions and roles become specialized. So, for example, the buying function can be split into more specialized functions such as women's tops, women's bottoms, and women's dresses. Employees are able to utilize their expertise within a particular function. Three, expenses are reduced. This is due to the savings obtained from reducing redundancy. Four, quantity discounts become applicable. Wholesalers offer better pricing to buyers who purchase in bulk. This marketing strategy is also seen by shoppers. So, have you ever been to Macy's stores when they're having their shoe sale? So, they may have a sale a few times a year where it's buy one pair of shoes, save a certain percentage. Buy two pair of shoes, save an additional. Buy three pairs of shoes, and you save even more. Number five, consistency. With a concentrated number of decision makers, a consistent brand image can be achieved. For example, marketing decisions are made at the headquarters and then are passed down to the stores for implementation, providing a consistent message. Number six, groundwork for expansion. Functions have been defined and processes have been put into place, minimizing the need to hire additional employees to carry out certain functions like buying and merchandising. Consistent data collection derived from point of sale systems, POS, and transmitted to the corporate headquarters can be utilized for expansion planning. While there are many advantages of centralization, a disadvantage is that centralization does not allow for stores to respond to the local market. To combat this, some companies have adopted a decentralized approach for certain functions, such as merchandising. which allows for stores to better meet the needs and wants of their local market. Retail ownership. A public retail organization, also referred to as a publicly held retail organization, has numerous owners and shareholders that have a stake in the organization's assets and profits. The general public is able to buy into the organization by purchasing stock through the stock market, such as the New York Stock Exchange, NYSE, or the American Stock Exchange, AMEX. However, the general public has no voting or decision making power. Retirement plans like your 401k, 457b, or even a 401a own stocks. Plan participants, you and I, are directly invested into these stocks when we are participants in these retirement plans. The original owners of the organization cede some control as the new shareholders obtain voting power that can be used to make decisions about the operation of the organization. Many publicly held organizations evolved from private companies by one, going public with an initial public offering, an IPO of stock. Two, their investor base reaches a certain size. Or three, they voluntarily register with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. By issuing shares to the public via an IPO, the company is able to gain capital to fund expansion. Michael Koris's 2011 IPO valued the company at $4.8 billion, making it the largest IPO in the history of the U.S. fashion industry. Here's just a few publicly traded fashion companies. Chains and conglomerates. Chain organizations are a group of centrally owned stores, two or more. Some definitions may classify a chain as four or more stores that sell similar products. Chains can be classified as local, regional, or national. National chains like JCPenney's, Walmart, and Target operate stores throughout the various regions of the country and have had the largest impact on retailing. Regional chains like Dutch Brothers Coffee operate stores within regions of the country. Dutch Brothers operates primarily in the western and southern region of the U.S. Local chains like Alexander Jewelers operate stores within a narrow geographical area, typically within a city and its surrounding areas. A conglomerate is an organization that unifies the ownership of independently operated subsidiaries or operating divisions. These divisions operate independently and have their own organizational hierarchy. For most of us, we identify conglomerates as parent companies. Conglomerates can be formed as a means to protect business interests by combining with other firms. It is advantageous for companies to form conglomerates as it enables realignment of assets among companies to increase efficiencies, support expansions, and minimize the impact of loss. The world's largest conglomerate, Moet Hennessy Louis Vuitton, or others may say Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy, also known as LVMH, which is home to 75 distinguished houses within 6 different sectors. These houses include Louis Vuitton, Moet, Hennessy, Benefit, Givenchy, Christian Dior, Fendi, Marc Jacobs, Sephora, and DFS. Centralization is the key to the success of a conglomerate. Retail growth and expansion. The objective of any company is growth. It is essential to its survival. Mergers and acquisitions are growth strategies used in retailing. Mergers generally occur when two or more companies of approximately the same size combine to create a larger company. The corporate structure of the smaller company is dissolved, resulting in a single structure for both companies. Acquisitions occur when one company purchases another, taking ownership of the other company's assets and liabilities. Acquisitions can be friendly or hostile. They are friendly when the company being taken over agrees to the takeover, realizing its organizational or merchandising compatibility with the acquiring organization, and the acquiring organization can provide financing. Acquisitions are hostile when the company being taken over resists being bought out because of fear that they are incompatible with the acquiring company, and also the fear of reduction in force due to organizational streamlining. When two or more companies are interested in acquiring the same organization, a bidding war can ensue. The companies try to outbid each other by counteroffering. This is often resulting in the company selling for more than what it is worth. Some acquisitions are financed through debt, which is called a leveraged buyout or LBO. This occurs when private equity firms use borrowed funds to purchase failing companies with the intent to turn them around by cutting costs. Once profitable, the firm takes the company public with an IPO, selling it for far more than what it was purchased for. In some cases, when an acquisition happens, the acquiring company gains stores that are not profitable or are inconsistent with its portfolio. In such cases, a company may choose to divest themselves of these stores as a means to rid themselves of unprofitable units, generate capital, or to focus on other areas of business. Diversification is a growth strategy used by businesses to enter a new arena. This tactic is used by organizations to diversify when they anticipate growth limitations within their existing businesses. The text provided Gap Inc. as a great example of how companies diversify. Just looking at three of Gap Inc.'s divisions, Banana Republic, Gap, and Old Navy, you can see while their product lines are similar, allowing them to save money as it relates to supply and production, the distinction is in the quality of products and the price points associated with these stores. Companies must be mindful when diversifying includes businesses that are too closely related, as this can lead to cannibalization. In this instance, the businesses compete for the same customer, resulting in the closure of one of the businesses. Opportunities for small stores. Independent small businesses can exist among large stores if they are able to differentiate themselves enough to complement large stores. They can differentiate themselves by their ability to purchase distinctive products from smaller vendors who cannot meet the needs of larger stores. They are also able to respond to the local and regional markets, unlike larger centralized businesses. Bankruptcy. A business is considered bankrupt when the organization's liabilities outweigh its assets and it is incapable of paying its debts. Chapter 11 bankruptcy is the most popular chapter of bankruptcy filing written in the Federal Bankruptcy Act. Enacted in 1898, the Act established guidelines for debtors to pay creditors. In 1978, the federal bankruptcy laws were rewritten to provide companies with protection against their creditors by prohibiting them from requesting the court for liquidation of a debitor's assets to cover its debts. A debitor's indebtedness to its lenders, suppliers, and bondholders is frozen when filing Chapter 11. The organization is able to create a plan of reorganization, or POR, and uses assets to aid in generating a profit under the POR. When a POR is put into place, the following actions typically occur: termination of the current leadership and appointment of a leader with a track record of rescuing failing retailers, downsizing by closing unprofitable stores, the implementation of cost-saving measures, and selling unprofitable divisions. The advantage of Chapter 11 is the retailer's ability to start anew with a clean slate. They are able to retain new lines of credit and continue shipments from suppliers. Why would creditors lend money to bankrupt retailers? Because Chapter 11 guarantees that any debt that is incurred after the filing of Chapter 11 will take precedence over the payment of old debt. A company emerges from bankruptcy when it becomes profitable. Bankruptcy debts are settled at this time by offering creditors equity in the company, essentially making them owners. International retailing. U.S. retailers are expanding to foreign marketplaces as a means to continue to grow. These retailers are appealing to foreign markets because of the assortment, convenience, and value that is offered. Growth opportunities in foreign markets is the result of factors such as the National American Free Trade Agreement, which created the largest trade zone between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. The European Union, or EU, which has consolidated the European marketplace, and the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, which have lowered tariffs or payments worldwide that must be made to the government to import or export goods. With any foreign expansion, retailers must research and know the culture of the market they are entering. To minimize risk, some retailers opt to enter foreign markets through joint ventures, licenses agreements, and franchising. In a joint venture, two or more parties pool their resources to create a business entity. The advantage for the retailer is the knowledge their foreign partners have about local laws, customs, and industry alliances. Licensing is a contractual agreement where a retailer allows another business to operate under their name in exchange for a percentage of profit. There are advantages of licensing for both retailers. The company that is licensing their name out minimizes risk, while the company who licensed or is using the other company name has brand recognition. Franchising is an agreement between a franchisee and a franchisor, where the franchisee pays a fee plus a royalty on sales to operate under an established name. The franchisor provides the merchandise and assistance in organizing, merchandising, and training. Retailers like Gap, Giorgio Armani, and Gucci franchise abroad in foreign markets. Foreign retailers are also entering the U.S. market as a growth strategy. H&M, Uniqlo, and Daiso are all foreign retailers that have entered the U.S. market.